The once strong house that towered the village is now creaking with sorrow, despite the fact that it is still one of the few iron-roofed houses in the entire village. The walls are giving up, and we can see some of the timber that supports the walls. They are eaten by termites and in need of urgent solution. Like a child crying for its mother, this house is crying for its original owners, my parents. They have passed away just recently, and this house seems to be determined to follow them to the grave. I am only a child, 13 years of age. I am made to understand that this house cannot be redeemed, despite the fact that a little patching up here and there can make it strong again. Reason? My mother, who became a widow after my father's death, refused to be inherited according to Luo customs. As a result, in her short life after my father's death, she could not renovate this house, and neither can we after her demise. The house finally collapses one night with us inside. Thankfully, no one gets hurt. That is the end of a home as I knew it. From here, I move from structure to structure, but they do not feel like home to me because they bear no memories of my mother's delicious meals or my father's transistor radio. They are simply a roof above my head, something to shelter me from the bad weather. For this reason, the decision to leave when I turned 21 was very easy to make. It came in the form of an unplanned pregnancy. I did not want to trouble my caretakers with raising me plus a baby, and an abortion was not in my to-do list. So when my baby daddy accepted responsibility and introduced me to his family, I decided to move in with him. He was in college, just like me, and believe it or not, I lived in a men's hostel for 3 good months. We finally got the money to rent a room just 2 months before the arrival of the baby. My moving away from home was pretty rough, but the idea of home has always been jumbled up for me since the collapse of my mother's house anyway. Whew. And that brings us to the beginning of yet another podcast episode. Welcome to the In All Honesty podcast. It's another week. My fabulous name is Olive Orao. And earlier on, I asked you, what is your experience of moving out of your home for the first time? And what is the biggest lesson you have learned ever since? Now, the first letter that I got, I stopped assigning names, by the way, to these letters because I ran out of funny names to get from the Bible. I'll start checking Disney. But anyway, this first letter was very touching to me. And you do realize that there are people who, when you tell them, when did you leave home? They cannot recollect what that exact experience is, because for her specifically, since they were orphaned when she was 13 and her mother's house collapsed, she cannot confidently say that this is my home. This is where I could consider home. And I'm hoping right now you've made a home for yourself, for your family, for your child. And it's a place where you find peace and come back home to and feel like, finally, I have a home. I hope all the best for you, and I hope that's something you find right now in your adulthood. Something else that this letter brought up are some of the customary and traditional practices that have still been carried forward to date. And this is an entire podcast episode, if not an entire season, of just some of the customary practices that we have right now. I myself am Luo, and as you have heard in her letter, she says that her house could not be fixed by the relatives or the villagers because her mother had refused to be inherited after their father's death, which is something that apparently is very normal. And knowing her, she's not very old. I don't know, how old are you? If you're 30 and at the time you were 13, that's not so long ago. So if that practice is still very much practiced right now, then there's a lot to be concerned about. And not only that, there's other cultural practices that we have in our community that I think I'll also talk about in a later episode that I just feel are very, very backward. But anyway, let's get to what the episode is about. It's raining outside, so you'll forgive me if you can hear the rains. I hope it actually sounds very relaxing instead of disturbing. But anyway, before I get into some of the responses, I'd like to remind you that we have partnership opportunities on this podcast. Today, I have a Christmas tree that's wearing a sombrero. If not me uplifting my and your spirits together. And also you can have product placements on the podcast. You can sponsor an episode or a season. You can have a mention on an episode or a couple of episodes. And you can also run an advertisement on my podcast. I am happy and more than welcoming you to come and partner with me. And with that said, let's get to what was your first experience moving out of home and what has been your biggest lessons. I send out prompts on my social media every Thursday, except this Thursday because I have traveled out and we'll be back by next week. So we'll resume. Don't you worry. But with that said, let's get into it. So some of the responses I got: what was your experience moving out and what has been your biggest lesson? Number one, budgeting is not a choice. Parents may support financially for a few months, then uko solo. Yes, you have to learn how to budget. However, I never struggled with budgeting because I have always been very keen with money, numbers, organization. So I've budgeted my whole life. So when I moved in to my own house, I didn't struggle with budgeting as much, but you have to know if you're moving out, budgeting is a key factor. If you haven't learned it by now, you will learn by force, by fire. Someone else says, sometimes the only solution to a rocky relationship with parents is that distance. This is very true. And a lot of African homes have parents and children who have some sort of toxic relationship. And it's not necessarily that one of you is toxic. It just could be the idea of waking up to the same face every day could bring a certain strain. So moving away, as the saying says, distance makes the heart grow fond, right? So it is in that sense that some relationships have been able to be have been salvaged by just one person moving away. And this is really, really beautiful for you realizing that. Someone else says you should be financially responsible. Again, the aspect of budgeting comes in. I got another response that said, I'm looking forward to this one. Oh, here it is. I am happy to give you this episode. Another person said, yes, adulthood is a scam. Bills don't stop. I understand why parents were always mad because where would I go back home? No, having my own freedom is addictive AF. It gets hard. It gets really, really hard. There are times it's extremely tough, but that is the price a lot of us are willing to pay for the freedom and the peace. So I really get this. Someone else says, where reinforced my child-free sentiments because I can barely take care of myself all round as it is a lot. Yeah. So you didn't have a child. Yeah. And now you're just wondering, I can't freaking feed myself. How am I going to do this for two people? I totally get it. For me, it's just the work. It's not so much how to take care of someone else. I'm just like, there are days I am really, really lazy. And I'm just like, if I had someone else who I am obligated to take care of, I would probably lose my mind. Someone else says, moved out for uni, went back after a month. Kuinama is hard. Okay. You people who moved out for uni, when you mean you went back, does it mean you went to uni in the same town as where your parents live? Because I'll give you a short story. I finished high school. I was supposed to go to Moi University. So I grew up in Eldoret. So my family was set up in Eldoret. So I was supposed to go to Moi University. That is my parents who insisted. They were just like, School of Medicine is down here. School of Annex Law School is down there. And I was just like, no way. There is no way I will go to school and then come back to this house and deal with, what are we eating tonight? No. So that's how I applied and went to Maseno. And my dad was just like, I remember when I was applying, my dad was like, how sure are you'll get the Maseno letter? Because the Moi letter came before the Maseno letter. The Maseno letter came like, I think, is it 6 months later? And I was just patient. I was just like, if I don't get accepted, we see where we go. But I don't want to school and live in my parents' house. I'll go live in a hostel. So for people who consider moving out of home into uni as moving out, I find that very interesting. I have never thought of it that way. To me, it was just I'm going to school, like boarding school. I never thought of going to uni as moving out of my parents. But ulisema ni ngumu ukarudi nyumbani fast, quick, eh? Someone else says, enjoy living alone. It will teach you so much about yourself. Also, don't let standards influence you. Live according to your means. Enjoy alone time. Buy the best quality things you can afford. Hata kama it will take some time. This is very solid advice and well summarized. Enjoy your own company, because I saw, this is during the pandemic that I realized this. I hadn't noticed. During the pandemic, a lot of my friends would call me to just like holla, they try and figure out how we can meet, or they were always on call. And I was just like, what's happening? Why are you always calling me? And then it's only then that we realized some people have never been by themselves. Yes, you live alone, but you live in the morning, go to work, interact with people the whole day. After that, probably go with your boyfriend back home. Maybe you can count the number of times. Maybe your house is just for sleeping when you come back after work, and probably sleeping a number of days because then you go and meet your lover or you go and visit your family. So people did not know how much they were reliant on other people's existence until the pandemic. And I realized how independent I was during the COVID season, because I felt nothing had changed. I was very comfortable in my house. I would stay the whole day in my house. I didn't need any human contact. And so that is very important. Learn to find comfort, peace, and a lot of joy within your own with your own company. Yes, you can meet people, especially if you're an extrovert, you draw energy from other people. But just know that just learn that when people are not there, you should be able to sustain yourself as a person. Don't be over reliant on people. That's very, very key. Another thing she says is live according to your means. Budgeting. Again, guys, do not feel pressure. I remember moving out. The first thing I saw was my friends posting on Insta, and I see like they have cookers, they have couches, they have all these things. And I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? What are they doing to get this amount of money? I don't know. There was just so much pressure. Comparison is the beginning of any downfall. At any point in your life, if you ever compare, whether it's school, whether it's work, do not ever compare yourself with your counterparts or anyone next to you. Just live your life. Know your clock is on its own lane, and you will get to where you're going. You'll be fine. And then buy quality things. And then that's the same as budgeting. Buy quality things. Don't just buy things because they are cheap. Take your time. I was telling my friend the other day, because I was helping her shop for an appliance, and I was telling her, I can sit down and I know this fridge is going to cost 30,000. And I will sit down with putting money into a certain account for 8 months over. And I know the goal. I am just very patient until that day. And most of the times it's usually when I'm timing sales. Until that day, I will sit, and maybe the 8 months I'll still have the 30K, but then I'll be like, let me wait for a sale. It looks like Black Friday. They've said this fridge is going to go for 25K instead of 30. So then I'll just wait patiently for another 3 months. And that price drops like this. I'm there with my money. So it takes a lot of patience, investment in quality. I myself, I don't know what your process is. Everyone has theirs, but I myself have a certain non-negotiable. Everything I buy must serve me for at least 10 years. I might change or upgrade because I want to, not because it is broken. But every time I buy something, in my head, I'm thinking it must last 10 years if I want to stay with it that long. But usually I just change up things. I get to a point, I'm just like, no, I want a new something. So I sell the old one and get the new one. And what's good about even like timing sales and all that, everything in my house, there's nothing in my house that has been bought at its original price. So I've always bought my things like half the price. So right now, if I bought this laptop this laptop goes for 30K. But I was patient and saved up and waited for the perfect sale and bought this laptop at 15K. But when I'm going to sell this laptop, I will find the market price at, say, 45K. I can still sell this laptop at a profit after I have used it. So yeah, yeah, you gotta be smart. You gotta be smart and shrewd in some way. Anyway, yeah, that was a loaded point. I hope all of that has helped. Someone else says, yes, never go back. You've moved out of home. I guess you're never going back. Or did you move out of your place back home and you're never going back to live alone? Anyway, either way, it's a choice and we respect it. Someone else says, life skills go a long way. Definitely. And this is when people started to realize, you remember the debate of the sexes. Boys want girls so they can have someone to clean and cook. And then the feminists came out and started telling men, cooking and cleaning is a life skill. It's not some task that should be assigned to a particular person. It's a life skill. And even if you yourself do not want to cook or clean, then you just need the life skill to hire people or get help, paid help for this particular thing. So it does not necessarily mean that you have to be the one who knows how to cook and clean. You just have to make sure you've organized your life in a way that you have all these life skills. And then there's things like, even like being a friendly person, even like being a kind person, just being someone who can articulate your feelings very well, because it will get to situations where you have to talk to the landlord to wait out your rent. You'll have to be someone who can talk, because I've always been very shy and can never negotiate. But I found myself having to tell the landlord, there's no money yet. Can you wait until mid-month? And in that sense, things played to my favor because I'm the kind of person who's very, very, I keep to myself. And I greet people, I'm kind, I'm nice. So when I come and I do everything by the book. So if rent is supposed to be paid by 5th, when I have money, rent will be paid by 5th. All my service charges are paid in time. So on the day when I actually request, can I have some time? They can look at my track record and see this is an unproblematic tenant, and therefore they can extend me grace. So generally, life skills just cuts across. You will need all sorts of life skills when you're living by yourself. Thank you for that one. That's a really good one. Live within your means. Again, you're being told, do not compare. Someone else said, the peace it comes with is underrated, especially when you're from a toxic family. Let me tell you, living by yourself and you've come from a toxic home, it is peace. It is so much liberation. You'll never even believe what you're feeling. And that's why I didn't come from a toxic home, but I came from a home where I was highly parentified. And I didn't care that I was sleeping on the floor with that duvet. I didn't care that I'm waking up to go take like soda and mandazi only for the day. I really did not care. At the end of the day, I wasn't responsible for someone else. And that to me was ultimate peace. So yeah, that's what we are paying for. Someone else says, bills are real. Thankfully, I never lacked at home and make sure never to ask for money from them ever. So yeah, bills don't stop coming every single day. You never lacked from home and you never want to ask money from home. I understand that. You could have parents who are supportive and they don't mind sending you money here and there, but it just doesn't feel good to ask. I don't know. It doesn't feel, unless you're in a romantic relationship, let me tell you, there's nothing as horrible as borrowing from a point of desperation. There's the one where you're going to a bank or a SACCO to get some loan for investment. That's a good borrowing. This one for, hey, I'm late on rent. Can you, it doesn't matter who you're borrowing, whether it's friends, whether they are good people or not. It just doesn't matter. Borrowing is such a hard, it's not nice. Anyway, someone else says, nataka chef mimi, hii mambo ya kufikiria nakula nini kila siku. Me and you both. I actually thought of having a chef at some point, but I was just like, because the chef will come in and make and meal prep, like say on a Sunday, and leave me food for the week or 2 weeks. But I was just like, no, because my mood is so, my food is so attached to my mood. I could have food in the fridge, but no, today I just want to eat fries. So how I tell how I want to eat is by deciding what mood I'm in. Like, it's my mood that will determine what food I want. So I could go even 3 days starving. I've not eaten anything until on the 3rd day, your body will tell you, Olive, let's get potato salad. So that's what I'll eat. So I let my body dictate what food I want. And I hate cooking so much. I hate the thought of what are we eating so much. I've gone to sleep so many times without eating. And yeah, I really do understand your concerns. Someone else says, baki to home kama hujafukuzwa. Imagine si must utter your freedom that you want. This one I'm conflicted. Yes, home is better, but as I have mentioned, for some people, the freedom, or rather the peace, people are willing to pay for the peace. It might be hard, you might hustle thrice as hard, but at the end of the day, I don't know, people want to prioritize their mental health. So to whoever staying at home favors them, well and good. Someone else says, kujilea ni ngumu. I swear, I am not even my type. I am so damn expensive. Raising myself is a task. I'm telling you, an uphill task while at that. Someone else says, kuna bills. Of course, kuna bills. Every single day you wake up. I literally just woke up to my water bill. Anyway, loneliness that comes with it. Phew. Yes, a lot of people have admitted to being lonely after moving in by themselves. And I think I don't want to diagnose, but you might be an extrovert and probably you really love people. And such people, you'll find people who've moved into their own homes and feed off people's energies. You'll find they like hosting a lot. And it's okay. Yeah, do whatever you can to have some human contact if you're feeling lonely. And I will warn you, don't live with someone. Just feel lonely, let them come and visit. You can go and visit them, but let nothing tell you that you are too lonely to be by yourself. Please, unless it's arranged now, you and your romantic partner have decided to live together. But if it's something outside that, be very careful. Someone else says, yes, I did 2 years ago. My biggest lesson is always have a budget and stick to it. Usipo utajiju. Budget again. As I said, I've never struggled with budget, but I am telling you, please learn how to budget. And you can teach yourself in small ways. If you're going to the supermarket, go with a list. If you're leaving the house, go with a list. Never enter a supermarket without a list. On that list, when you enter the supermarket, do not add anything. You can remove anything that probably you don't find, but do not add anything to that list. Go in, pick only what's on your list. And you can pick the cheapest. Like, just read the ingredients, read whatever. If the more expensive one is not giving you any other thing other than branding, pick the cheaper one. Do not live with anything that's not on your list. Train yourself like that over and over until you learn. You'll be fine. Trust me. That thing you wanted to add to the list, you will realize you don't even need it. Someone else says, I moved out of home to cohabit with my boyfriend. Lesson: never move out with a man who can't afford to buy tissue. Never just move out with anyone. Just do not do it. If you moved out to have time for yourself, do not move out to live with anyone else. Whether it's a bestie, a romantic partner, just do not do it. You ended up with a guy who can't even afford to buy tissue? That's a lot. Because tissue is 30 shillings now in a recession. Before then, it was cheaper. But anyway, just don't move in with anyone. Someone else says, moving out of home and abroad to no family or friends at 19, I must say it has been a journey. Pure patience and trust the process. It's 4 years now. I am so proud of you, first of all. There's a lot of people who move to countries abroad for studies when they're really young. Because I know my sister moved when she was 17. And it's really hard. And this is not like moving to the uni in the same country as your parents like we did here. There, you know no one. You start with looking for a new family, looking for new friends, looking for ways to survive. This is very unfamiliar territory. There's a way your culture works back at home. You have to learn a whole new culture. You're far away from home. You cannot afford to travel home every single probably week or every couple of months. It's a lot. And 4 years, you've done a really good job. To everyone who's been shipped out to go study in the abroads, I am so proud of you, and I am happy for you, and I hope you're taking care of yourself, and I hope you've learned, you've tucked in some life skills under your belt. Someone else says the relationship between my mom and I needed it. We are now besties. I love it. Didn't I tell you I love this? That you recognize that this relationship is strained, but this is someone that I really love, and distance would fix it. And this has happened even in romantic relationships where you get a divorce, but you're still best friends with your ex. It is very, it is very healthy. I feel it's very, very healthy. Hashtag boundaries. Biggest lesson, vyombo nazo utaosha. Just become besties with your mom and then go back to your house and wash your dishes. Please. It's a must. I hate washing dishes. I think I just hate chores in general. But what I usually negotiate with is like, at least in my house, the dishes are manageable. In my mother's house, it was a 24-hour economy, just like a plant running throughout the day manufacturing food. There was always dishes, and it's feeding a family of 7+. Let me tell you, those dishes were unbearable. Right now, when I don't feel like doing dishes, I'm just like, at the end of the day, it's just like 4 plates. And that's when I've like piled them up. In a day, I could have maybe a dish and a cup. I don't have much. So yeah, dishes nae utaosha. Someone else says, imagine no matter how hard it gets, you can and will get through it. Sleep for dinner is a plan, please. I have mentioned so many times, and I actually learned a trick. If I eat ice cream, a lot of you said you can't sleep with ice cream in the house. Guys, why? Anyway, if I eat ice cream, the sugar is enough to sustain me. So there are days I just don't have the strength to cook, and I can't decide what my body wants until it's late night, and now I can't order food, and I just scoop ice cream and eat. And then it takes me for another day or so. Yeah, the sugar helps. Yeah. Yes, you'll get through. That is something that I know is very possible. It gets better, but it's something I do not like telling people when they're going through the thick of it. I know for me, it did get better. But at the time when I was going through shit, if someone told me there's a better life ahead, I wouldn't have believed it. So just as the same way this person has told you, imagine no matter how hard it gets, you can and will get through. You will. But I will not tell you that. Just go through your processes, but just remember, try and keep your sanity. Live in the moment. What are we eating now? Eat whatever is there now. The next minute will take care of itself. The next day after that, we'll see how it comes. Do not anticipate the days that are coming before. It will stress you out. So just be patient. Take your time. Use your clock. You'll be fine. Someone else says, food is so freaking expensive, and why am I the one deciding what to eat? Again, the issue of food comes up. Food is such a contentious matter, guys. I'll do an entire episode on how I have broken up with people over food. But yes, food is expensive. Yes, you could say so. If there's anything I do not care spending on is food. So I don't know. All my money can go to food. I can just pay rent and then buy food. That's all I do. Someone else says, Steve-O Simple Boy got nothing on you, and that's on period. Word. Anyway, that's the teaser that I posted. I started by dramatically rapping and saying I can take Steve-O Simple Boy on. Steve-O Simple Boy is a rapper in Kenya, for those who do not know. Yeah, so that's just someone complimenting me. Thank you. Someone else says, take me back. Who? Your family. It's been tough. It's hard. Hold on. Just hold on a little bit. You'll be fine. Someone else says, life is expensive, even food. Yeah, all of it. There's nothing. You will realize just everything costs money. I think when you're living with your parents or when you're living under someone's roof, you don't realize that they go out and pay for things. I think you think things like food, it shouldn't be a matter like that, right? So once you start living alone, you realize, I pay for everything. I pay. Oh my goodness. Someone else says, you'll be lonely before adjusting to staying alone. As I said, I have never felt loneliness, but yes, for some people you might feel lonely, especially if you're the kind of person who feeds off a lot of energy from other humans. But as I have said, find ways of still interacting with other humans, but do not let someone into your house that they're living there. Please. But find ways of interacting with other humans, and soon you'll grow into loving your own company. Someone else says, houses don't come with bulbs. I buy and put them on myself. The way they showed you the show house, you thought it came like that with the curtains and couches. But yes, bulbs are so small, but no one ever thinks about them, because it's so many times that people move into houses and then realize they don't have bulbs. And let me tell you, I'm a professional moving helper. All of my friends, I think I've moved any of my friends who has been moving. And the bulb is one thing that I always have on the list, and they're just like, I forgot bulbs. Yeah, bulbs. It's the small things that will stress you. Anyway, someone else says, there is a secret our parents should tell us. Curtains, mattress, softener, food. Me, imagine I just said if our parents were selling meth, they just tell us. Because there is no way they were running an entire family on these small monies. Even some of us are earning more than they were earning at our age, and still we cannot run our own household by myself. How are they running a household with 5-10 children? Bana. If you're selling crack, introduce your kids to the business. And yes, curtains, mattress, curtains, a bed, my friend. You will cry. You'll cry. Your teeth will sweat. Someone else says, everything is expensive. Kwanza food. Na nisianze curtains na rugs. Curtains. Rugs are so, let me tell you. And then I have had such a problem with rugs. Until right now, I have no rugs in my house. I have the bathroom and the kitchen one because of water spillage. And then I have the carpet in the living room. But I removed all rugs. First of all, the washing is just hectic. And curtains, I like shears. I don't like curtains. I only bought curtains once in my life, and I'm fine. So guys, for curtains, I'm sorry. Me, I'm fine. Someone else says, you plan 10 months salary in advance, but still don't accomplish the set goals. That is very true. Plan, but please do be advised that life is also planning alongside you. And the devil is not asleep as well. And God is also not asleep. So you can imagine there's about 4 people who are just planning your life for you. So yes, plan while having that in mind. Things might not exactly go as planned, but you have to be very strict on yourself. You have to keep your eyes on the goal. If you've said, December, I'm going to buy a carpet worth 4,000. You will, for me, I will sleep hungry before I touch that carpet money. I am not. So yeah, just learn how to take life as it comes. Someone else says, every single drop of whatever it is matters, because bills. So this is very interesting. And I've seen other people saying that they were very wasteful when they were living with their parents, but now they're just like, yeah, your toothpaste Jaisha, please cut up the tube and clean out the tube with your brush. Please, why are you throwing away toothpaste? But I never experienced this because I was you'll just wonder a lot of things I've never experienced. I was a very unproblematic child. So my mother was very big on not wasting things. So I just took that up. I have never wasted my whole life. I've never been someone who wastes anything. So when I moved into my own house, I've never struggled with wasting as well. I just continued with the lifestyle that I had been living in my mother's house. But yes, you will feel the pinch. Sorry, I scrolled too hard. Okay, someone else says, moved out to pursue my second degree. Ningejua ningeshukuru niliweza kusurvive through the first one. Sahi ningekuwa mode pale high school nikinoneshwa na githeri ya watoto, but see my life. Broke as hell, trying to cram what writers like Setiorari and Mandamas brings. Hata sijui kama nimespell poa. Congratulations on your second degree. Let us believe that the longer it has taken for you to achieve those two things, the more the reward will be. So the reward will be more than githeri in high school. So I'm just hoping for you. But congratulations on taking up your second degree. I hope I'm wishing you all the best. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. No, we are all broke. Don't worry. Someone else says, just move, other things will fall in place. Yes, this is the advice I was telling you. I'm hesitant to give, but yes, it always works out in the end. It gets better. I tell people it gets better, but it's not a promise I will make to you because you cannot see it right now if you're going through the thick of it. Someone else says, I saved for 1 year while buying stuff. So the following year, January, I just paid rent and deposit and was set. These people, I probably know only 2 of you, and you are one. The one who sent this. You probably are the only person, plus I know another cousin who's done this. People don't move out like that. It's as much as this is the ideal way to move, save up, buy furniture, keep them in a warehouse or your parents' store until the day you're moving, and then you move into a fully furnished house. Technically, that's what's supposed to happen. Does it happen like that? Does it? I know a maximum of 2 people, and this person is included, who planned out their lives like that. I am so happy for you. I am so happy that the ideal world actually worked in your situation. So congratulations. Someone else says, most important is don't use more than half your paycheck for rent. Yes. Second, don't take the first house you see unless you're fleeing from danger. Take your time to compare. So your 2 lessons are: don't use half your paycheck for rent, use anything way less, and don't take the first house you get, the first house you're impressed with. Take your time and compare houses. This is if you have the luxury of just moving out slowly. Take your time, compare houses. I do not make compromises on houses. It depends. Like on in the house I'm currently living in, the only compromise I made is that I don't have an own balcony. That's the only thing. But I have massive ass windows. I have a big, very huge space. I have a well planned out house. I have clean tiles. I have a very good caretaker. Security is very good. The serenity of the place where I live is really nice. The place is kept clean throughout. I have rosemary in the garden that was planted that I can take and it's not stealing. Like, it's a very good place to live. But I had to let go of, an own balcony, and also distance from the CBD, because that's also very key to some people. I had to move a little further away from the Nairobi's proximity, but it is worth it. I pay way less for way better space. So there are things you'll have to compromise on. Just look around. You'll find something better. And do not use half your paycheck. It depends. If you're not, I remember there's a time I was earning, was it 20 something K, 27K? Yeah. And my rent was 9K. So in that sense, it was close to 50%. But, yeah, if you're earning enough, you're comfortable, please just be careful. For me, rent really hurts my soul. I'm just this is not money I'm keeping somewhere that I can go take in December. It's money that's going. It's like throwing money down the drain. So rent really hurts my soul. I never feel good paying a lot of rent. So I usually find the cheapest I can go on the scale of my paycheck. That's the one I'll go for. So that's very solid advice. I could have someone, once the podcast has a space to record, I'll have someone from finance to help us with this, so that you learn the first things you should do when it comes to finance and moving out into your own home. Someone else said, Dada, everything is expensive, including chumvi. Oh, yeah. It's bad when the economy gets to the price of salt. Salt was the one thing we were assured of. You could go make ugali and take it with salty water. But right now, yeah, it got to salt. Someone else said, not yet, soon. Any pro tips? If you've listened to this podcast up until now, you've probably gathered a couple of pro tips, but also at the end, I will advise on some things that you should be very keen on. Someone else says, curtains are expensive. The house doesn't come with that couch. As I told you, you went and viewed You went and viewed a show house. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, curtains are expensive. Everyone is crying curtains. Guys, it's an investment. Buy it once. So buy good ones. I am for the going to buy new curtains, going to easily, getting it measured, taking your measurements, having it stitched while you're watching it. I am for that. I'm not for the second-hand curtains because there's a mismatch. Sometimes there's some place has been run down. There's a thread that's running. I don't know. I am for going to easily investing ones. And the problem is if you want to change your curtains as often as you change your hair as well, hey, I am sorry. Me, I don't care for curtains. It was a one-time investment. Let's get to some of the responses that I got that were a bit longer. And these were like stories. As I've said, please check on my, no, did I say that? I didn't. But anyway, as I've said, I stopped assigning names to people because I ran out of names. I was taking funny names from the Bible. And I don't know why I've forgotten all the funny names we had. Habakkuk, Haggai. Oh, yeah, I should have remembered. Anyway, let me read this. So, this person told me, moved out Jew, my parents were a bit toxic for me. Eish. No one prepares you for the loneliness. Jew huna hata ka TV. Oh, that's what you guys mean by lonely. You guys don't do karaoke and solo karaoke and just talk to yourself and laugh at your own jokes. Okay, I will see myself out. But we move regardless because peace is important. The beginning of this year, I lost my job and let me tell you, Maina, it's like I just rented a place for me to pray and cry privately. Just where it has been tea for tough. I'm thinking about going back to my parents' house, but staki kuambiwa, tulikuambia ukae ukajifanya. Sasa ona, at some point, I feel like I just want to do crazy things for money. At least I can pay my house rent and take care of myself just like before. But heaven is the goal. Acha ningoje Bwana. Is this Bwana Yesu or you're waiting for Bwana husband? Anyway, but I'd rather live here and default rent than go back to my parents' house. But I wish I lived alone earlier. There's so much freedom, of course, more fun if you have some coins. Yes, I agree 101 times. There is so much freedom to living by yourself. And that's usually the most difficult thing about moving back home. You're just like, a lot of people think that when you've moved out, you're going to be promiscuous, you're going to drink alcohol. No, imagine you're just in bed sleeping the whole day. That's something you want to be allowed to do at home. So that's what you're doing at your house. But I understand, yes, losing your job can destabilize you so much. And I know exactly what you're talking about because when I moved to Nairobi, I told myself I will crawl on hot gravel before I go back home and be told, we told you you'd be a failure. We said it, didn't we? So I do understand. And this is what we're talking about when you talk about African homes and toxic parents. There's the aspect of regret and ridicule and being despised that you will have to encounter if you ever try to go back home. So what happens is, in most cases, you find that when people leave home, they are told they will be failures. And so in that sense, they don't find security just turning back home for support system. And it's really, really sad. I hope things work out for you. I hope some money comes your way so you can maintain. But also, if you're planning to default rent, I don't know for how long you can default rent. There's other options if you can move to a cheaper house as soon as possible, so that even if you're defaulting rent, it's something manageable. Or let's see, but I hope something comes through for you. I really, really do, because I know how much that means to us who live by ourselves, just like having that space of your own. And even you even still have peace, even though you don't have money. You're saying you've rented a place to just go back and pray and cry. And let me tell you, there is nothing as beautiful as having a safe space to just let it all out. Like, just come back to your home and cry, and no one will ask you what's happening, how can I help. It's just a place where you can feel all your emotions by yourself. So I hope things work out for you. Another person sent me a letter, and they say, here is my story. So I used to hate living at home because it was so toxic, and I vowed nikienda campus sirudi home. Didn't stick to that vow. Unacheka. Fast forward to 2020, in my 4th year, my family was just a mess. And long story short, I found myself going back home at the end of the year after graduation. I even convinced my sister we move back home because life was fucking hard too. Let me tell you, Olive, this was the worst mistake I ever made and my biggest regret drew where, first thing, when I moved back, my mom stopped taking care of the bills completely. And mind you, we are both jobless. Then the constant insults, madharau, and feeling unappreciated. Kidogo kidogo, we moved to pressure of getting married. I never saw this coming cause sisi ungeonekana hata na ukisalimia boy hivi, usherati pap. Yani even boys feared us because my mom alikuwa wire. Sikuwa na pick ata calls na peace. My mom would always try to get my phone so that she can see who I was talking to, and that's how privacy and respect of personal space was gone. I went back to having to explain everything, and I hated it. Nilikuwa nataka kumove out. Nilikuwa nataka kumove out ni prostitution, and she knew how to make you feel guilty about it. And I would cancel all my plans because of parent pleasing. Fast forward to current situation, I'm still trapped at home, but I am making plans to move out at whatever cost, because mentally I'm not okay, and staying at home will worsen everything. I have not managed to secure a job, but I'm seriously working on it because I'm just done with this bullshit. I just want peace and stressing over money. And how life is expensive. Yes, I do understand. Exactly what we've been talking about. There's very toxic parenthood going on in some African homes, and it's just, there's constant pressure. Like, why you've told your kids all their lives to never be seen by a boy, and now all of a sudden you want them to get married. To who? To the boys they've never talked to their entire lives. To the boys who won't come to the yard because they're so scared of you. And then now your kids have finished school. They're both jobless. They're both at home. You've refused to take care of any bills. You want them to go get money by any means. This house that you don't want to pay bills, they want to leave so that you have less mouths to feed. And them leaving, you're telling them they're going to prostitute. Can you make up your mind? I don't know, like... It's just you can't talk badly about people's parents, but people's parents are out here wilding, and it's making me mad. I can only wish you the best. I can only wish that you get a job or find stability in some way, or find a source of income or source of money. I don't know how you'll do that, but I hope you do, and you need peace. Yes, you really do. I can see here you're even saying you'd rather stress over money and how life is expensive than having to deal with all these mental issues. And I really do understand. Another letter that I got says, so after my internship, I had to go home, visit my parents for a few days because I was planning on continuing my stay in Nairobi. When my stay was over and I was finally planning to go back to Nairobi, my dad was like, if you leave, I am not paying your rent. And true to his word, he gave me 2K. Transport from home to Nairobi was 1,500, rent 7K. I had nothing. I got a job at Radio Wahumini, then got fired on my 3rd week. A podcast. Working in radio. A podcast. Anyway, I felt like hell had broken loose. Sorry, punctuation there. I continued doing my online writing, and it enabled me to pay rent and sustained me in Nairobi. Right now, I'm living my best life, and I don't regret leaving, although I did back then when life got hard. It was the best decision I ever made. It made me grow up. I'm only 22 and making 150k per month. I am happy I left. Sahi ningekuwa nachunga ng'ombe ushago. I'm a big girl now and handling my own bills without dad's help, and I help him sometimes. Hide ID. Love you. Love you too. Aish. I love it. I am loving it. So this brings out the point of parents holding their kids at ransom with money, because this was very common, especially in campus. A parent will tell you, if you're not doing medicine, if you're going to do sijui what, you'll pay for yourself. Me, I'm only paying for medicine, law, engineering. It is a very toxic trait that comes from parents, and I don't know if they realize it. And then what happens is that if your children defy whatever this is that you've asked them, if they defy that and go and live their own life and then they succeed, you want the rewards of their success, or you also want credit for their success. Because in this case, this is a 22-year-old girl earning 150k. I did not see that kind of money well into my late 20s. So I'm just like, can you imagine if she was at home chunga ng'ombe? Can you call her and ask her to send you a few thousand bobs? Can you? Parents, please learn to support your kids. They might make mistakes, but at least if they're supported, if it succeeds in whatever they are planning, imagine you'll be a beneficiary. So I think it's a very toxic place to just hold your kids at ransom with money, and you're like, I won't pay for it. Support them if you can. If you have the money, please do support your children. They will be more than happy to just give back in a way that they can when they are finally successful. Another letter I got says, "Hi Olive, my name is Lawisha." Let me go with Lawisha. I don't know if you want to reveal your name. Better safe than sorry, right? My name is Lawisha. So here is my story. I had just finished Form 4 and I was living with an abusive stepdad. There is nothing I wanted than to finish high school, and I did. 2 days after finishing, I left to my grandma's house in Nakuru. Then 1 week after that, I found a job in Zimmerman, Nairobi, and I was staying at my then boss. 1 month later, I found another job, but now I had nowhere to stay. The second boss was not offering a place to stay. I decided to go back to my mom's house with the dad. I didn't want, but I had to. So 3 months into staying with my mom, they got into a crazy argument with the dad. I like how you're referring to that guy as the dad. He's not my dad, the dad. With the dad, mom decided to leave to Nax. I couldn't go with her because of my work. I had 6,000 shillings and I had to move. And I had to move. Funny thing, the house that was available then was 8,500. Put in mind, I have less than 3 days to move. I only have 6k. It's my rent, my fare, my food, my upkeep. I talked to my landlord, then he agreed I pay him 4k, then I'll pay the rest of the deposit included within a month. I had no idea how I was going to do this, but here we are. I paid and moved in. I had no mattress, no duvet, and no gas. I only had a few utensils I had taken from home. Now I only had 2k left. You've paid 6k for rent, right? Now I only had 2k left, which is my transport. No, you've paid 4k. Now you have 2k because you only had 6k. Now I only have 2k left which is my transport to work. I had the toughest month then, but God was there. I didn't manage to pay my landlord in a month. I had to move. I found a cheaper house at 5,000. Since I had time, but I had no deposit amount, and I was being kicked out. I spoke to our agent and she agreed I pay her mid-month, and I did. That's now the time I started settling in and been good till now. I hope things get better. I hope you thrive. I hope you are able to create a home for yourself. I hope you get better paying jobs. I hope money comes in for you in certain ways, because money definitely improves the quality of your life. And your relationship with your parents, I don't know about that. I don't know if you'll ever go back to your grandma and your mom and just talk about it. But right now, I'm hoping that you can find stability for yourself. So I'm wishing you all the very best. You have done so well for yourself so far. And it seems like you're a hustler. And I hope it pays off. I hope it all comes back to you as you have tried yourself to give it all out. Another letter I got says, "Hi, Olive. I hope you're good and healthy, and we thank God for the rains." Hallelujah. Hi! I love rains. Anyway, mine today is about moving out to my first bedsitter. It still counts though. I'm still in campus, right? I don't know. You guys consider moving to campus as moving out? For me, every time someone tells me describe, I just say the moving after campus, now moving into my own house. Anyway, I may not have the real moving out experience, but my first month into living alone, I almost went back to live in school. That is the hostels, where living alone made me and still makes me hustle hard to make ends meet. But we still cook poison. Hallelujah. Do you guys know the girl with the toaster on TikTok? I think she's a campus girl. She makes anything. She made pizza the other day in her toaster. You think I cook poison? Wait until you meet that girl. Anyway, it got lonely at some point, but I came to love my own company. Now I don't want people coming over. Yes. I'm grateful for supportive parents, but you just know, pesa ya mzazi haitoshi. Yes. It's been a roller coaster of all sorts, but I'm saving now, hoping that by the time I'll be officially moving out the next year after graduation, I'll have some funds to ease the transition. All my love. Hey, it will definitely be better for you. I swear it will be better for you. When I moved out of to start living by myself, I wished I had moved out earlier so that I had learned some things before this time. But yes, it will definitely get better for you. And it seems like you're doing such a good job, and you've already gotten on that drug for not wanting people in your space because it's freaking addictive and you love your company. Yes. I so love it. I so love it for you. And thank you for sharing, because this is it's a beautiful story. And the person who began all this, there were a couple of people who've been contacting me, and they were just like, Olive, what's your moving out story? And what's your moving out story? Some of the tips that you can help with. So one person also asked me on email, and I sent them some pointers, but I'll just share my moving out story. I moved out in of course, campus. I went to Maseno, which was a distance away from my home, which was in Eldoret. But then my actual moving out, I consider it after campus. So I got this sales job when I was still in campus, actually, and graduated while I had that job. 2 months into having that job, I was like, I want to move out by myself. And let me tell you the last straw. As I've mentioned, I was parentified a lot. So there's this time I was living with my mom when I was having this sales job. So I'd come back. It was just the two of us. We had 2 homes now. My parents had moved to Kisumu at some point, and then my mom got a job in Eldoret again. So she's in Eldoret. She has like a small house where she lives. So I lived here with my mom. So I wake up one day. No, I've gone to work. Kawaida. Sorry, I zoned out. I've gone to work. I come back in the evening. Hey, let me tell you, a sales job, you're on your feet for 8 hours. You're freaking tired. If you could just go home and sleep, you don't even need to eat. If you could just go home and sleep, you'll be fine. So then I get to my mom's house. I enter the bathroom to shower. I find what clothes have been soaked. She's like, nilikuwa nafikiria tuoshe tu hizi dakika moja before we eat. Let me tell you, I felt my heart was so heavy. My heart was literally, it was heavy. I was just like, the fuck, I am so tired. I am so freaking tired. I cannot come back home to clothes that need to be clothes. These are not dishes. Clothes. So I washed them. I was so mad. I ate. I went to bed, but I was just so freaking mad. Anyway, I think a week or two after that, I went to work, told my friend, can you help me look for a house? So she helped me look for a house. She's still my bestie to date. She helped me look for a house. I got a house next to her. And then my mom had gone back home because she comes when she has like lessons and all that. So my mom had gone back home. She's chilling with my dad. And I call her and I tell her, I found a house, I'll be moving out. So by the time I was moving out, she had come back in town for work again. So on that day, my mom tells me, go leave work early. Make sure you've left work early and ask your sister's husband to give you his car so you can come and go drop your things off. So I'm like, okay, fine. I do exactly as told. I leave work early. I go to my sister's husband. I'm like, unaweza nisaidia gari. He gives me the car. I go back home with it. When I get to the gate, I meet my mom's friend. She was leaving the compound. Then she tells me, let me talk to you. She goes on and on about how I should never move out. And I remember her telling me, that's the one thing that motivated me in this Nairobi. She told me, if you leave your mother's house, you'll come back crawling on your knees. And do not leave this house. And then she also, so the last thing she told me before now she left the car and went, she said, if you leave this house, never ever come back. I'm just like, who has sent you? Why are you speaking on behalf of my mother? Anyway, I move to the house. I go in, I enter the house, I find my sister and my mom. But the mood has changed now. No one is talking to me and there's just a heavy, humid air in this house. I'm just like, okay, I'm moving out anyways. So I go take my small suitcase. I still have it. I have a small suitcase. At the time, I was wearing uniforms to work, so I didn't have much clothes. A small suitcase and a paper bag with my shoes, and that was all. And a duvet that I had bought earlier because I thought I'd move out someday. But anyway, that duvet. So I took these 3 things, and as I'm leaving the door, my mom tells me, eat first before you go. So then I come back to the house, I eat, and then I leave. And then it's time to leave. So while we are leaving, my mom and my sister tell me, come, we talk to you. They didn't talk to me. They didn't tell me anything. I thought they were going to pray for me. They didn't. My sister and my mom just told me, do not post this on Facebook. That's the only thing I was told when I was leaving home. So, of course, my sister and my mom have a really high reputation in church. And I think that's what was at stake if I ever posted that I've left home, that I'm living by myself. Because I think now it's easier. But at the time, living alone meant being very promiscuous. Am I into prostitution? I didn't even know I'm into prostitution, right? So I think for them, just this information going out to the public would mean that, your girl has decided to go be of the world, right? But what I think, what I didn't understand is where all this came from. Because I left this house in the morning. At 7 a.m., I left this very house. And my mother was very excited. She made breakfast for me and she was like, leave early. Go take your sister's husband's car. Come back with it so that you don't go back. So you don't go to your new house late. I was just like, what happened while I was at work? What happened in between here? But anyway, I was told don't post it on Facebook. I was like, it's good. So long as I'm not doing dishes and washing clothes, I'm okay. I'll not post. So then, they took me to my house. They saw the house. They didn't have any comments. They just looked at the house and then they were like, okay, cool. You're good. Then they left. My sister and my mom left. A couple of months, I held on to that job. That job was toxic. One day, I opened my bank app. I had received my salary. I told my partner, I'm going for lunch. I never came back. That was the last time they saw me. I think 2 days after that, I was sleeping at night. In the middle of the night, at around 2 a.m., I usually wake up to pee. At around 2 a.m., I wake up to pee. I don't know what got over me. To date, I don't know what got over me. But I just showered, called the taxi guy. We used to have a taxi guy in LD, called the taxi guy. He took me to the shuttle. I told him I'm headed to Eldoret. I booked a ticket for Eldoret and booked a ticket for Nairobi. I'm headed out to Nairobi. I booked a ticket for Nairobi, landed in Nairobi. In Nairobi at around 8 a.m., I called a friend of mine. Oh, bless his soul. He's still my bestie to date. So I called a friend of mine. I told him, so I'm in Nairobi and I'm just trying to look for like a place to bum while I find a house. So then he actually hosted me for 1.5 weeks. Such a sweet soul. He's the one who still helped me buy my car, even Josie. Bless your soul. So he hosted me for 1.5 weeks and I finally found a house. How I found a house in Nairobi, an entire podcast episode on its own. So then I went back to Eldoret, picked my things. I had a friend who had a trailer. So that trailer is the one that was coming to Nairobi. Put my 2 things there and came to Nairobi. And then in Nairobi, the trailer couldn't enter where I was living. It was like a bedsitter wayaki, we're there, down there. So the trailer couldn't enter. So I actually took out my things and put them on a mkokoteni. And then the mkokoteni took my things to the house. But the person who was moving me, at the end of the day, humans are humans. He stole my gas cooker. So by the time I was settled in Nairobi like this, I have finished unpacking. I had 300 bob to my name and no gas cooker. The 300 bob pushed me for a couple of days. I used to eat soda. I used to buy soda 1 liter. And then every day I go buy mandazi. So then I'll drink the soda and the mandazi for a while until I got writing gigs, and then the money started coming in. That's a whole new story. But anyway, while I've moved to Nairobi, I think 2 weeks later or something, my mom calls me. She's like, I'm here at your house. It looks dark. Is there no one in this house? Where are you? I'm like, I don't live there anymore. I moved to Nairobi. My mom didn't talk. She just hung up. I think a week later again, my dad calls me and he's like, Olive, what is happening? I hear you've moved to Nairobi. I'm like, yeah, I've moved to Nairobi. He said, okay, Sawa, you take care of yourself. Work hard. I moved. Nairobi was Nairobi. I was out here. It was so hard. But anyway, what happened is I just got jobs here and there. I would say I was lucky because I got jobs here and there. And then I got into what's that cycle? The loan cycle. I started taking loans from KCB, Mshwari, and it built up to 36K. I remember by the time I was paying it up. So what I would do, I'd take out a loan, say I'd take out 10K. And then I use the 10K during the month. And then at the end, when it's due, I ask someone for 10K. I pay back the loan. My loan limit increases to say 12K. I take out the 12K. I remain with my 2K. I return the 10K to the person I borrowed. I did that for a couple of months until my loan accumulated to 36K. So then the first 8 to 5 job I got, I was solely on that job just to pay my rent because it was a toxic place to work. But I stayed there for about a couple of months until I could pay all my debt, and then I left. So from there, I think I've constantly been lucky. I've always found jobs here and there. I've always found side hustles on the things that come easy to me, like writing, social media managing, all those things. So for me, plus with the budgeting that I've told you, it's been very easy to just... Also, I'm a very patient person. I'm a very patient and organized person. So it's been easy for me to just learn, okay, I want this and it costs this much and I can get this money if I save up by this time and then go get it. So that's how I slowly furnished my house. But I also fell for the comparison thing. I used to look at my friends and I'm just like, guy, these people are thriving. So later on when I met a friend of mine, she's the one who's like, hey, Olive, see, you're thriving. So I realized the way people are giving me pressure, thinking that they are thriving. Even me, there's someone who I'm giving pressure. Can you imagine? So at the end of the day, I realized we are all on very different clocks and the comparison only gives you stress and nothing else. So I planned my life pole, but let me tell you a lesson that I learned very, very recently. Protect your space at all costs. I was the kind of person who'd go all out for people. So I found people who'd take advantage. People would come to my house and stay for ages and like disrespect my space. They'd use your own things. They'd wear your clothes. It was just too much for me. So be very careful don't be like me. I had to learn the hard way until it got to a point I'm telling people, no, I don't host anymore. No, don't come to my house. It costs me a mental strain. And people are just like, Olive, you've changed. No, I've not changed. It's just because you can't come to my house, but I'm willing to meet you at a restaurant. I'm willing to meet you at a vacation spot. Why do you just want to come to my house? So protect your space. I learned that is something very common. If you are a girl, please watch out for homosexuals, men who will date you just so that they have a place to stay, or they also have their own place, but they especially like your place because they come to a clean bathroom. Let me tell you, there's this guy that would come to my house. He'd call me and he's just like, I need somewhere to crash. And me, I'm like, even me, I was hosted when I came to Nairobi. So it's okay for people to also come to my house. But this guy would come to my house, and there's a time he dragged his friend to come to my house. And it was a bed sitter. So how are we even sharing this bed? I'm sleeping on the bed. You guys sleep on the floor because there's a duvet, there's an extra duvet, you sleep there. But my bed is my bed. And then this guy would come because apparently here the house was clean. And then I'm the kind of person who likes to make people comfortable because that's how my mother raised us. So I'm here, I'm cooking, I'm getting out. Normally I'd cook probably rice and beans and eat. But since I have guests, I go and get beef or something. So I am getting out of my way to make people comfortable, and then they're just here for that comfort. And I don't know. I'm just like, if your friends come over, you need to make sure people feel comfortable in your space. Right now, I don't care. If you come to my house, you come with your own food. You will cook, you will leave me some food, you will do the dishes, and you will go back in the same day. You will not sleep in my house. So I learned things pole pole. Someone would tell me, Olive, can I come to your house? Your bathroom is usually so clean. Why don't you clean your bathroom? Bana. So be very vicious about protecting your space. That is something you will learn, and you'll learn these things these things I'm talking about. They're not from strangers. These are your friends. These are people you think you know. And then you'll get to learn that they have very weird behaviors. So protect your space at all costs. So there's someone who asked me about moving out. And here is what I sent them, and I hope it will help. I hope it helps to summarize the tips. So why are you moving out of home? Any reason is valid. Please know that. Even just feeling like I need to see what it's like living alone, it's a valid reason. Let no one make you feel smaller because your reason doesn't feel very profound about moving out. Any reason for moving out is a valid reason. Someone else says, gosh, I'm so used to reading responses. I also told this person, how is your support system? Do you have a family that is unconditionally loving that will take you back when you decide otherwise and want to come back home? If you don't, I am sorry. You will have to deal with the ridicule, with being despised if you ever try to come back home. That's why people who leave home from places where they have been their doom has been predicted, they'd rather do anything out here than go back home, because you go back home to ridicule. And let me tell you, it's embarrassing. But if you have a very supportive system, if you have a support system that's really, really good, I am happy for you. So just even if your parents they're a bit concerned, tell them, I just want to see what it's like living alone. Ikishindikana, imagine mom will come back, imagine dad will come back. So I hope you have parents who understand. The other thing is, this is a warning, unless it is school roommate situation, and that is hostels, yeah? Avoid cohabiting or living with anyone like a bestie. You will clash, and in the case of a boyfriend, you might be taken advantage of, so protect your space. I have just talked about it. Avoid living with people unless it's a roommate situation. In schools, hostels, you have to share rooms. And then outside, get a stranger. If you're looking for a roommate to cost share, get whoever else needs to cost share a house and live with them. Do not live with your friend. Then you're not going to remain friends. Do not also live with your boyfriend until you have decided, or your romantic partner, until you've decided we are moving in together. It is a decision both of you have made, like a marriage or an engagement, or make sure you don't live with someone out of their inconvenience or out of their convenience. Like, yeah, I hope you get the point. The other thing is there is no formula. Budget and prioritize what you need and buy that. This is a personality thing. I bought a TV before I bought a gas cooker. Lol. As long as you are happy. So yes, prioritize. We've mentioned budgeting. So just learn, what do you need? What do you want? And then with time, just buy it pole pole, buy good quality, buy things that will last you longer so that you don't spend money in the long run replacing them. So learn how to do that for yourself. And when it comes to priorities, different people have different priorities. That's why I mentioned, I bought a TV before I bought a cooker. So a lot of people will tell you, hey, umenunuaje nini? The people for unanunuaje gari kwa rental, I was one of them then, before I saw the light. But yeah, whatever is priority for you. I could not miss the 9:00 p.m. news. It's something that I took from my dad. So at the time, I always had to watch the 9 p.m. news. So I bought a TV because I was a journalist. That's a field I wanted to go into. So yeah, I bought a TV before I bought a cooker. There is no wrong or right priorities. So long as you are happy. See, that's your house. It's your rules. The same way your parent tells you, so long as you're under my roof, you live by my rules. Now it's your roof. Live by your own rules. And someone else said, oh, gosh. And I also told them, get what you can afford. Leverage on sales. Guys, wait on sales. You will upgrade later if you want. If you are well supported and your parents give you a few things to start you off or some monetary boost, take it and thrive too. So if you can be given money, it took a long time for me to start taking things from people. I always wanted to prove I'm fine, I'm okay. But also when I started to take, I realized it was not so much being independent. It was just so much that I had never been given things my whole life. And so I didn't know how to take. So just learn to accept help. Learn when something is going wrong or when you need help somewhere, it's okay for someone to come and hand you over 2,000 shillings and tell you, hey, bana, ebukula lunch. It's okay for someone to just come through for you, even if it's your parents. So don't feel like you're a failure for wanting help. All humans at some point will want help. This is a lesson that took me very long to learn, but there is no formula. You can decide to save up while you still have a free roof over your head, buy your things so that you move into a well-furnished home, or you can just, the day you've woken up, I feel like all the good moving out stories were those people who woke up and were just like, Nimenda, I'm going to move into my own house. And then you figure there, life chappers you a good one, but you survive anyway. But at the end of the day, you'll be fine. As we have said, everything will fall into place and you will be okay. With that said, that brings us to the end of this episode about our first experiences moving out of home and what have been our biggest lessons. Please, I will remind you to check my social media for the prompts on Thursdays. For this particular prompt, you can check the comments. There are people who comment on the post itself. So that is public. You can see their responses. The responses I read here are the ones I get through DMs, through WhatsApp, through my email. So probably they want to protect anonymity or maybe. But anyway, you can always find all this engagement on my social media. My social media is Olive Orawo everywhere. Olive is spelled Olave. My email is oliveorao@gmail.com and my WhatsApp number, which I really want to use for business. So if you're just calling to tell me, if you're just texting me to tell me, hey, what's up? Please hold it back. Keep it in the DMs. Yes, please. My WhatsApp, I'd like to really use it for business. 0728-171-059. 254 is the country. There are people who still question what country I am from. Kenya. I am Kenyan and all this content is coming from Kenya. But thank you so much, guys. I love that we've come this far in the episodes. So we will miss 1 week of an episode because I have traveled home to go see my parents and I am happy all the same. But with that said, until next week, it's been real. I've been your girl, Oliver Rao. This is In All Honesty podcast. Do take care of yourself and stay warm. Bye.